Cancer. Welcome to Yellow Cardinal Tarot. My name is Carol. And today's reading, Cancer, we're going to be doing a reading called Embrace Your Anger. I've been feeling a lot of anger these past few weeks, and that, you know, I go back and forth between my anger and my fear. My last reading I did for you was around fear. And I think it's, you know, has a lot to do with what's going on in our world right now. And, you know, anger is such a powerful emotion. And it can bring so much change in our life. So I've been really working with that because I'm somebody that's been taught since I was younger to put my anger away and not to ever use it. And so, you know, society gives anger a bad rap. I was told not to use it by my own parents. And so the thing with, I suppressed it. I put it away. But the thing with suppressed anger is that it's because it's such a powerful emotion. It finds a way out, unfortunately. And, you know, you can have, some of you might be, you know, maybe raged at people. You have these explosions that come out. And then we realize, you know, that's not our authentic self. That's not who we are because we hurt people. And so I want to look at how your own suppressed anger is showing up in your life right now. And then we're going to look at a way that you can start to release this anger for yourself, this suppressed anger, so that you can start to bring change to your life. And so I'm going to be using the Erenberg Tarot today. And I'm also going to be clarifying that with a Radiant Rider-Waite deck. And so let's begin right now by looking at what pattern or situation is creating anger in your life right now. Okay, and you may be aware of it, but I will be bringing awareness to it. So can I have one card for Cancer? For one pattern, for the pattern or situation that's creating anger in their life right now. Where is Cancer feeling anger in their life right now? One card, please. Just warming up. I just pulled this deck out. One card, there we go. The Ace of Wands. How does Cancer's repressed anger or ungrounded anger manifest itself in their daily life? And so because you have this repressed anger, how is it kind of showing up? Or how do you, oh, this one really, well, we'll see. Nope, didn't come out. And so how does it kind of show up in your life? Or how does it manifest it? What are you doing? Maybe you're blocking it, things like that. So we'll see what it says about that. There we go. One turned around. You have the Temperance card in reverse. What are you afraid will happen if you express this anger? What are you afraid will happen? You have the Seven of Wands, and that was definitely in a sideways position. How can you begin to release or express your anger in a grounded way? How can you begin to release it in a grounded way? This is for Cancer. All right, so this one came up as your Four of Pentacles. And then you had this one that clarified it. So you have the Seven of Swords in reverse. Okay, so let's go to the Rider-Waite deck. And we're going to pull some clarifiers for that. So the Ace of Wands, please, a couple cards for the Ace of Wands. One more card. Oh, wanted to give me two. So you have the Three of Swords in reverse. Seven of Wands in reverse, and the Queen of Cups in reverse. So all those are reversed here. The Temperance card. Couple cards for that. It's way too many. The Star card did come out. I'll take that one. It was upright. And then we'll put one more here. One more. There we go. This one was the Page of Cups. In reverse, I'm going to put it. It was kind of a sideways. So maybe I'll just keep it sideways here. And the Seven of Wands. Oh, I'll go this way. One more card. There we go. So you have the Two of Swords and the Ten of Pentacles. I'm going to say those two cards came out close to the same position. Very close to the reading I just did on Aries. Interesting. And I did comment about the Ten of Pentacles coming out a bit during these readings for this topic. All right, Four of Pentacles and the Seven of Swords. A couple clarifiers there. One or two. I usually don't have a difficult time with this one. That's twice. All right. Just that my hand's getting tired. Of course. Okay, so I have the Knight of Pentacles, and that was at the end. And it was like, you told me your hand's getting tired. Here's three of them, and you complained. The Seven of Swords in reverse. The Five of Pentacles in reverse, and the Knight of Cups. And so you have two knights right beside each other. Yeah, that's four clarifiers. Not what I wanted, but that's all right. Sometimes when I threaten the tarot, it says, don't complain, because you're getting it. All right, so let's start off with what pattern situation is creating anger in your life right now. And you begin with the Ace of Wands. And a nice card to begin with. Aces are a gift from the universe. It's an offer. And the Wands talks about our creative purpose. The Wands is, all about putting yourself first, going in the direction you want to go in. And here's a beautiful offer from the universe. A gift that's saying you get to do whatever you want to do. That's hard to take sometimes, right? Because, if I said that, I want you to think of what is the first thing you said to yourself when I said that. You get to do whatever you want to do. You get to go wherever you want to go. And your ego self will just go, what are you talking about? You can't do that. I can't do that. I don't have the money. You can't do this. You can't do that. You get to do it. You get to do whatever you want to do. You get to go in the direction you want to go. But let's see where the anger's coming from. It's almost like I just heard the word flashback. So it's like, I think when you were younger, there was something you wanted to do. You wanted to do something. You wanted to go in a certain direction. Because there's some real pain here that's sitting here, this Three of Swords. It's in reverse because there's a real fear to getting at it. But this represents, this could represent some real trauma. I mean, you do have the Ten of Pentacles, and we'll get to that in a minute, but there's some real pain sitting behind you take going in the direction or you want to go into, or are you putting yourself first? I think you remember something. You remember that what happened to you, maybe when you were younger, that what happened when you wanted to, maybe you expressed that. Like I remember when I was younger, this is something really small, but you know, I wanted to learn how to play piano because I had a kid in my class that was playing the piano, and I thought that's a real cool thing. I would love to learn how to do that. And I asked, and it was like, no, we don't have the money. And so I could see how that in itself would be, for a child, would, you know, it's just an example. But it's like, you know, at that point, it's like, I never learned how to play piano. And I had a piano here for a long time, and I finally gave it to one of my own kids. But it was just like, I was told no when I was younger, no, you can't go that route. And so I think I had it in my head that, you know, I wasn't allowed to do it. And so there's some real pain for you to go in this direction that maybe you know what it is you want to do. And then you have the Seven of Wands here, and that's in reverse. And this is a card of somebody that's very much alone, trying to, the wand, like I said, is about your creative direction. And this is somebody that's decided that they're going to go their way. If you look at you can see it. It's not as clear in this one, but this individual has a short boot and a longer boot. They don't match, because the Seven of Wands always speaks about someone who's a non-conformist, doing what they want to do, even though they've got all these people down below with their swords saying, you come back down, you get off that pedestal. Who do you think you are? Not supporting, not validating. And so I see here that when you were younger, you did not get supported and not validated in what it is that you really wanted to do. And that's where that pain is coming from. And kind of spoke ahead of myself, I think. And so, you know, when you think about it now that you want to do this, you can hear, you know, who do you think you are? Get off that pedestal. And those are all the things that come from our caretakers when you were younger. Because here's the Queen of Cups here. Queen of Cups is the feminine side to us. We have a feminine side and a masculine side. And all the queens of my deck represent the feminine side. And you don't have a king that's come up. I'm surprised, but you do have two knights. So we'll talk about them when we get to it. The feminine side is the part that the Queen of Cups in an upright position. Look at this queen here. Look at the water flowing at her feet. The cups is all about our emotions. Our emotions are meant to flow like they are at the queen's feet. The queen, the feminine side to us, feels all our emotions, and you're being asked to take on this quality, right? Like this quality of the queen, of feeling her emotions, being in her body, living from her emotions. She's blocked right now. And so I can see that when you were told when you were younger, you weren't allowed to do this. Who do you think you are? Nobody was supporting you. And then the emotions around all of this, well, you shut them right down. You know, you shut them right down because I think you were told when you were younger, you know, you knew, maybe you tried to get angry because you weren't allowed to do this and you weren't supported. And so you would have shut down your anger. You would have shut down your grief. Grief sits behind our anger. And I'm wondering here, without even looking at these, I'm wondering if you probably do have a lot of grief that's sitting in your system as well, because you weren't allowed to do this. But there's anger that's blocking it, like I said. Anger is a secondary emotion. It'll block what's sitting behind it. And oftentimes we can have a shitload of grief that's behind there that you needed to feel when you were younger, but you put that all away with your anger, with your grief. And right now there's like this new offer, and I think you're feeling it. It's like there's something that you want to do, but this is what's all stirring underneath it. And so how does your repressed or ungrounded anger manifest itself in your daily life? And here it is right here, right? So because you've repressed this anger, how is it, you know, manifesting itself in your life. Well, you start off with the Temperance card. It's in reverse. And again, this Temperance card's interesting because look at the water here. You know, here's the cups of emotions again. And the Temperance card speaks about, to me, in an upright position, it talks about middle ground. It talks about things taking time. And I think there's a real, it's in reverse. And so I think there's a real part of you that is not willing right now. Like, what are you talking about? This is going to take time. Or the whole thing about this journey being a process and things take time to happen. And I think you're very impatient. And that's the word that's come up for me now, because, you know, in an upright position, Temperance says, well, things take time. But I think you're very, very impatient. When we are an impatient person, we tend to rage at people or get angry at people and be very on edge all the time. And that's because you have repressed anger right here. You have some impatience that's really showing up here in your life. And that's your repressed anger. And it needs healing. Star card is all about healing. And again, here's the water. So you have a lot of water in your readings, which represents our emotions. Emotions are supposed to come in. We feel them, we process them, and they go out, right? You're not supposed to get stuck on them, but we talked about how you've got this stuck anger and maybe this grief behind it, but it needs healing. This individual is just, you know, dipping their toe into the water just to touch a bit of it, but I think your impatience is getting in the way, and you got a little Page of Cups that came in sideways, and I mean, this is probably the most powerful card in this whole reading right here, is your little Page of Cups. And when this guy comes up, I have to spend just a bit of time talking about it, because my pages in my deck are, first of all, our inner children. And there's 4 of them. You can have more than one inner child. I know mainstream psychology likes to say we just have one, but I've been on my own healing journey for my own complex trauma for, you know, almost 8 years now. And I know that I have more than one inner child. Our inner children hold our emotions, big emotions, like our fear, like our anger, like our grief, especially this one. This one holds a lot of grief. You have an inner child, this little Page of Cups, that holds a lot of grief. And so when we have this inner child, this part that needs healing inside of us, because our inner children need to be heard, they need to be understood, we need to give them a voice. I write to my inner children, they write me back, and I grieve as an adult because they couldn't grieve when they were younger. And so what does this part of us, this little inner child, this little Page of Cups, I call him my love seeker. And this is what happens, and this, you could relate to this. I think our little love seeker is so petrified of people that are going to reject us. And I think you have this fear that people are going to reject you. And they're so afraid that people are going to abandon them again. I mean, they're so afraid that to them, to this part of yours, this younger child of yours, your little love seeker, they think they're going to die. They really do. They think they're going to die. And they're afraid of people, you know, disapproving of what they do. So, and this particular part of us will go out and attract all the toxic people in our life, because they just repeat the same patterns of childhood. People show up in your life and you're wondering, where did you come from? Like, why are you in my life again? Like, why am I attracting all these toxic people? Because we're looking for that one savior, that one person that's going to come and save us and give us the love that we didn't get when we were younger. And so I think there's a real part of you that is continuing to look for that love elsewhere in your life and try to get it back, because you know there's a lot of healing. And when we have this much grief, I can really feel the grief that needs to come out here when, from, you know, what we talked about when you were younger, that little part of us will come out and we'll look for that as a distraction. You know, we'll look for that love in other people to try to get it. But we're the only ones that can grieve for our inner child. We can't get it for other people, and we know that, but it just keeps on repeating that same pattern, and that's how it's manifesting in your life. And so what are you afraid of will happen if you express this anger? And I could probably almost predict it because you have this little Page of Cups that is out. So our little love seeker, what are you afraid? Well, here's the it was sideways, the 7 of Wands here. And that is the second time this card has come out. It's come out over here. And now it's come out here. And you can really see, I love this deck because it takes a snapshot. It really focuses in on the non-conformist part of you right here. Do you see that individual right here with the two? I talked about the short boot and the long boot, and this one has 2 different shoes on here. Standing up on that pedestal. And you're afraid that if you get angry, you know, because this little part right here needs to grieve. And you're afraid that if you get angry, that if you start to express your anger in a grounded way, you're going to lose people. People are going to abandon you. This particular individual is not validated, not supported. You're afraid that you're not going to be supported. You're afraid that you're not going to be validated. You're afraid that you're going to be abandoned. We talked about that already, right? People are going to reject you. People are going to disapprove. They're going to tell you to get off that pedestal. Who do you think you are? Because this is what happened to you when you were younger. And so it's a pattern. And you continue to repeat this pattern because you need to heal it. And that's how this healing journey works. The universe always brings up these patterns in our life. And it's like, why is this happening again? Because it hasn't been healed. And so you definitely are very much afraid that people are going to leave you again. And you'll be abandoned. And so what you've done is you have shut down. You see this individual right here? This is the 2 of Swords. And the Swords is all about our mental energy, our thoughts in our head that we tell ourselves. This person has crossed their heart, put a blindfold on themselves, and it's like, nope, I'm going to stay up in my head, and I'm not feeling anything. And you've shut down, just like you did when you were younger. You've shut down, but you've got this impatience, right? And that's why, you know, when we talked about that, that's the suppression, is the suppression of it. But you've got this water flowing behind you. And that's all your emotions back there. But you've like, no, I'm not touching my emotions. So you've very much shut down, you know, maybe numbed out. But then this 10 of Pentacles comes up here. And this tells me that the 10 of Pentacles is a card about generations. They have a lot of generations of, you have 3 different generations in this card. You have the grandfather and then his children and then these grandkids that are hanging on the side here. And then this 10 of Pentacles has this formation here. It's called the Kabbalistic Tree of Life. It's from the Jewish culture. It's about digging into your lineage, finding out who you are. For me, because this is a healing channel, this card is our trauma, our generational trauma. And so I'm thinking here that, you know, you've really shut down, maybe closed off to what happened to you when you were younger. And you were afraid that if you express your anger, that whatever happened to you when you were younger, when you expressed your anger, it's going to happen again. This is exactly what this is saying. And it's what I've been saying all along here. So how can you begin to release your anger? It's really important, right? Because you have this impatience. How can you begin to release it or express your anger in a very grounded way so that you get at it? So you can create this change. You know, you've got this Ace of Wands that wants to go towards change. Well, I think the first thing you look at is this 4 of Pentacles. And this particular individual, you know, this card is normally called the Miser card. It's usually a card in the Rider-Waite where he's holding on to his pentacles, you know, covering his chest with his pentacle. And this one shows this ball and chain, you know, so you're very much, I can see how that you're feeling very much tied up, very much almost like wound up. if you are a very impatient person, and I think it's time now to work with your impatience and work with what is keeping you so tied up. And I think you have spent your lifetime. This is the Seven of Swords. This card in particular, this is clarifying this. Seven of Swords in an upright position. Look at this individual right here. It's peeking out from his masks. But the swords are about these things that we tell ourselves, right? We talked about the Two of Swords being up in your head. You have, I don't know if I said it was the Thief card. The Seven of Swords is called the Thief card. It's like when you were younger, you were told these things from your caretakers, people around you, adults, people in authority have told you things. When we're younger, we're a sponge, and we take these in and we continue to believe them. And we put these masks on because when you were younger, you were told, like, don't take out your anger, don't do this or else, or this is going to happen. Told all these things. And so you have, I'm going to say maybe some abandonment, this is attachment issues here. And so I think it's time you realize that, you were probably abandoned, and your Seven of Wands came out twice. Of people that didn't support you and validate you when you wanted to express your anger. And so you put on these masks. The Seven of Swords says, okay, your real self, your authentic self that you tried to be when you were younger wasn't accepted. So I'm going to put on these masks. And because you have adopted or inherited almost all of these things that people told you that weren't true. And so the universe wants you to start to, okay, let's take a peek. Let's take a peek out from that mask. Let's take some of that off. Let's start to unravel this, right? Let's start to unchain ourselves, to set ourselves free from all of these things that you're telling yourself that just aren't true, that you have stolen from childhood, right? That people told you. And what are these things that you believe about yourself? Well, you get the Seven of Swords to clarify. That was in reverse. You get the Seven of Swords to clarify the Seven of Swords. And so that's huge. That, to me, that tells me that's the main focus that you have to work on. It's time for you to start to look at, what are these things that you believe about yourself, that you continue to tell yourself? Are they true? Do you still believe them? Are these your beliefs, or are they someone else's? And I think that's really important, because it's time here that you acknowledge something about yourself. The next card tells me everything what you need to acknowledge here. This is the Five of Pentacles. In an upright position, this talks about these two individuals walking by this place of worship. They need to go in because they need some clothes. It's snowing out there. They have no shoes. It's really a focus here on this non-conformist, these Seven of Wands wearing those different shoes, and now you don't have any shoes. It's like, this is your worthiness card. These two individuals feel very unworthy right now. And I think this is in reverse for you. And I just said that, you need to validate. You need to acknowledge your self-worth. You are worthy. You are worthy to take your life in a new direction. You are worthy to express your anger. This is your emotion. You are worthy, even though I think when you were younger, you told you weren't worthy. When we're told to put our emotions away, we don't think we matter. And I think it's time now that you start to look at your unworthiness and how you feel about yourself. You have two knights that come out. Powerful to have two. It's rare that I get two knights side by side. And so I think it's really time to, and explains a lot about this Ace of Wands as well, because you have the Knight of Wands is a part of us. It's an adolescent part of us that we all have. It's that part of us that, if you think about adolescents, there are two things they want. One, they want to be themselves. They want to be their authentic self. And two, they don't want to be controlled. And so you have this part of you that's been fighting all your life I call them my freedom fighters, for freedom from oppression, which means you wanted to be yourself, because when you were younger, people didn't support you and validate you. That's what the Seven of Wands really talks about as well. And also wants to be free to go towards their authentic self. And so you have this part in you that's just, it's almost like these two cards right here are in a cage. Think of an animal in a cage that's been there for too long and wanting out of this cage. This is what these freedom fighters of yours feel like. And I think this is why you're Ace of Wands. It's funny how sometimes how the last card and the first card really almost, you know, tie into one another. And when we have this part, and you have it double here, you have the cups, which is all about our emotions. Getting back to our emotions is what's going to get to your authenticity. The more we feel our emotions, feel that anger, feel our grief, it gets us back to our real self and who we really are. And this is the Pentacle. We talk so much about the Pentacle in this reading, about getting back into your body, and it carries our body, our self-worth, right? This is the freedom to feel worthy, you know, to absolutely feel worthy, that we deserve anything. And so these two parts right here, these freedom fighters will also carry, because they've been fighting so long, they can carry some anger, and they can also carry a lot of our hopelessness. And so maybe you're somebody that gets really hopeless, right? Maybe you fight with that hopelessness as well. Maybe you go in and out of depression, and that's because you have this part that wants to be free, to be you, to take your life into that direction you're meant to go in. And so I hope this reading helped you, Cancer. I'm going to leave you with a playlist on anger. It's going to have some how to journal from your anger in there. And it has some other videos that I've done for my other channel called Carol Cares. And then I'm going to leave you with the last reading I did, which was on Conquer Your Fears. I want you to have compassion for yourself for what you're working through, Cancer. Your journey to heal yourself is the most difficult journey of your life, but it's the most important one. So take care, and I'll talk soon. Bye.